genre.
Hello and welcome to The Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Around, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Scott Corelli.
I'm Nick Jimenez.
And I'm Cass Fredrickson.
Today on the show, we'll be discussing The Trial of a Time Lord, Part 1, The Mysterious Planet, Parts 1 through 4. The Sixth Doctor's 8th story.
Does that subtitle... I don't remember that subtitle anywhere on the episode.
No, it's sort of like an unofficial title. It's like how you kind of like divvy up the individual stories within the Trial of a Time Lord.
Like Live, Die, Repeat.
Sure. Yeah. So when we last left the Sixth Doctor, the Doctor was in distress, and the show
I hate you.
We remember.
Show had been canceled. There was a sing-along.
It worked.
It worked, and the show was brought back from cancellation 1 year later. So it was canceled, 1985 and uncanceled in 1986. And the show returned with this new season, season 23, in September of 1986. So it was like a full... 18 months without Doctor Who on the air. And yeah, so they agreed to bring it back, and they had agreed to bring back the show at its full capacity, full amount of episodes. And they were like, hey, why don't we go back to the 20-minute episodes so that we can produce more episodes for cheaper, right? That's good. Everybody wins. And they're like, yeah, great, let's do it. And so all of these things were agreed upon. And then when they got their contracts, the BBC swindled them and took back on everything that they promised them and said, JK, not only are the episodes shorter, but your episode length is shorter than even the 45-minute episode season last year. So they went down to I think from 20 to 14. And from 45-minute episodes to 20-minute episodes. So they got kind of screwed. No one was happy about this. Everyone was really bummed out. Nathan Turner and Eric Sayward were both in a situation where they're like, I don't know what to do here because 14 episodes, so what? We're just going to have 3 stories? Because the suggestion would have been with 14 episodes, it seemed like the best course of action would be 2 4-part episodes or 2 4-part episodes and a 6-part episode. So that's just 3 stories, which felt weird and not nearly enough. So then they rethought it and settled on having 2 4-part episodes and 2 2-part episodes. And in doing so, still realizing that there's not a lot of space to do what they want to do, they decided, let's make this episode special and give it an overarching theme, similarly to the Daleks' Master Plan during the First Doctor's era, or the Key to Time during the Fourth Doctor's era, which were both season-long stories that Nick has no frame of reference for yet.
The first one I heard for the very first time just now, and I'm really excited.
Which one?
The Daleks' Master Plan.
Oh, yes. I wouldn't get too excited.
Okay, because I'm picturing a group of Daleks gathered around a blueprint.
That doesn't not happen.
Cool.
So, the big problem with Dalek Master Plan is most of it doesn't exist. Which is why it's a slog to get through.
The fire?
Yeah, no, not a fire. Just taping over everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just tape.
I always
over
want
it
to be the fire because it's more dramatic.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's just a bunch of people who didn't care about the show.
Tape over it.
No one's going to want to watch this shit again.
Like a dad in the 80s.
Yep. Yep. No one wants to watch our kid's birth, Marie. There's a football game.
Alf meets Nancy Reagan tonight.
It's historic. I guarantee you more people are going to want to watch that than our kids. So anyway, that was the vibe of everyone who worked at the BBC in the 60s, I think. So Eric Sayward went out to find writers to work on this season, and the first person that he talked to, of course, was his absolute hero, and the man that he considered his mentor, who wasn't really his mentor, Robert Holmes. Robert Holmes, classic Doctor Who's greatest writer, very arguably. Mm-hmm. I would say inarguably, but I'm sure some people would argue with me against that, but he's great. And so he invited him to write the opening story, and it was like, hey, write the opening story and write the last story in this. And Robert Holmes agreed, so he started to pen the story, The Mysterious Planet. Then at the time called Wasteland, eventually becoming Robots of Ravolox, and then finally settling into The Mysterious Planet before removing the title of the individual serials altogether for just Trial of a Time Lord. So while Sayward was putting together his little writing crew for this season, John Nathan Turner was desperately trying to leave Doctor Who. He didn't want to be on the show anymore. It was causing him to lose his hair and just he was just losing his mind. He hated working on this show. The past 18 months were just like an endless nightmare for him, and he wanted out. But BBC was like, hey, here's the thing. If you leave, we're canceling the show. He's like, so you're going to trap me here, or you're going to cancel. All of these people are going to lose their jobs. And they're like, that's right. You got
That's so shady.
Yep. And he was like, okay. So he was stuck. And no matter what he did, no matter who he reached out to, at one point, when the announcement, there was a leak, an internal leak. And by leak, I mean somebody faxed something to somewhere it wasn't supposed to go. And so that person immediately printed this fax into a fanzine, which then spread like wildfire, revealing that there was only 14 episodes this season, 14 half-hour episodes this season, all under an umbrella storyline.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we were doing TDC on like a college radio station in the 80s together? That would be like all we would talk about for like a week.
Oh yeah, I know. So because of the fanzine, everyone found out that the show was coming back, but was also coming back in a truncated fashion. And as a result, people such as, let's see, what is his name? Terrence Dudley, who wrote The King's Demons for season 20. He reached out to John Nathan Turner and it was like, hey, if you just want to quit the show, then quit. I'll take your job. Like literally people were blaming John Nathan Turner for this. They thought it was his decision because he wanted to leave. And they're like, oh, well, obviously he wants to leave. And so he's trying to like work as little as possible. And he's like, yeah, if you want to just ruin the show, just give me your job. So it was stuff like that, where John Nathan Turner was just like getting it from all sides. He was the BBC's punching bag, and everyone else's punching bag. And it wasn't his fault either way. He had nothing to do with any of the choices. He was just trying to survive.
Yeah, no kidding.
So he was not having a good time. But wasn't allowed to leave. Eric Sayward. So he had hired Robert Holmes. Robert Holmes wrote this story. They turned it in using a bunch of notes that they had been given from the BBC's head of serials at the time, Jonathan Powell. And Jonathan Powell gave them a bunch of notes. He was like, hey, you got to make the Doctor more likable. You got to make the things more comedic, less violence, just chill out. chill out, be a little bit more like the Doctor Who that everyone knows and remembers. And they're like, cool. And they told him that to Robert Holmes. Robert Holmes was like, great, I'm going to write a real Doctor Who story for the first time in a long time. And he did, and they turned it into Jonathan Powell, and he was like, this sucks. It's not violent enough. It's too funny. It's goofy. We're spending too much time with side characters, and the Doctor has completely changed his personality. Literally completely contradicting every single note that he had given prior. And John Ethan Turner and Eric Sayward, and to an extent Robert Holmes, but not as much because he was kept in the dark for a lot of this by Eric Sayward, who was trying to protect him, his precious writing papa. They were like, oh, so they're literally just trying to like tank the show. They brought it back because of the immense pressure that was put on them by the fans.
And the amazing song.
Right. But they do not want this show to succeed. They are deliberately sabotaging the show. And so with that in mind, and with everything else that was going on, they decided to give this season the overall a storyline of the trial of a Time Lord. They're going to put the Doctor on trial the way that they felt the show was on trial. And that was the sort of like metatextual narrative of the season. Eric Sayward told Robert Holmes that that the BBC had notes, and gave it the notes in the nicest way possible. And Robert Holmes was basically destroyed because he considered himself sort of like understanding and knowing Doctor Who better than anyone, and the notes were so contradictory to what he believed Doctor Who was that he was emotionally wrecked by the notes. Did another draft of The Mysterious Planet, which is the version that we have now, but a lot of people believe that this moment, getting these notes, are the things that eventually led to Robert Holmes succumbing to illness and death. Very soon after. He just sort of like, this was the only thing that he had.
Shut down.
Yeah. This was like the only thing that he had that was like keeping him fighting, because he had real bad hepatitis. And this was apparently the thing that was keeping him fighting. And then after that moment, that's when his health went to shit. And, that's when he died shortly after this season, I think, aired. And I don't think he ever finished writing the final episodes. So
yeah, because the final one isn't credited to him.
Right. So yeah, just a bummer all around. This is a really rough time for the show behind the scenes. And it's honestly a miracle that this season is as good as it is. Considering everything that's going on behind the scenes. So there's that. And then the other small thing, there's two small things that I think are interesting. These are not part of the overall narrative, but I just think they're fun little details. So first of all, this episode opens with a 6-foot model shot. It's like they built a 6-foot long model of this space station where the trial is taking place. And they shot this thing. It's a 45-second shot.
Stunning
model work. And it cost £8,000, which is the most anything has ever, the most single sequence that has cost any sequence in the show ever in the history of the show, up to this point. And probably up until, I would assume, the Fox TV movie, I would guess. But
it's far and away the most visually arresting, like just like mic drop, like we're back, baby.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When Nick watched it, like when he sat down and I pressed play, he was just like real, like kind of like just like he had his tea and he was like, all right, we're getting back into
let's
this
watch
now.
some Doctor Who.
Okay. All right. And then I pressed play and this started happening. And as soon as the camera like did this little like shifty move, he bolted upright and was like, wait, what is this? What's going on?
It's like, it just kept going. It was like, it was almost like something out of like Star Trek, the motion picture or something.
Yeah.
It was like, look at this thing we built.
Yeah. And that's what they were trying to replicate, because BBC felt that they were losing viewers to Star Trek and Star Trek reruns, and the premiere of Next Generation. and like Star Wars and things like that. Doctor Who couldn't compete with that stuff because the budget was too low. And so they were like, well, let's do this one thing and see how that goes.
I can't imagine being a child and seeing that on my TV after like waiting so long for the show to come back.
I know. It's crazy. So there's that. And then the other thing is they block shot all of the trial stuff, which, you know, makes sense. But there was a communication issue, and they were like, okay, we're going to shoot all the trial stuff on this day. So get the set ready. And so they built the set, and people showed up to where they were supposed to be to shoot, and there was no set. And they were like, where's the set? And they're like, over at this soundstage. And they're like, you guys are at the wrong soundstage.
Oh my God.
So they built the entire set on the wrong soundstage. And other people were coming in to shoot something else there and build a
Prime
set.
Minister.
And it was just a nightmare of miscommunication.
Oh my God.
Because they just built this entire set wholesale on another thing. Now, the interesting thing is I don't have the research in terms of like, I couldn't find what the resolution of this was, if they just swapped studio spaces so the other production could go to the other place, or if they disassembled the whole thing and reassembled it again in the other place. I have no idea. There's no resolution. All it states is the problem, and that was it. So I don't know how it resolved, but obviously it resolved somehow because they did shoot there. Or shoot on that set. I just don't know where the set was located when they finally did. But I just thought that was really silly. Yeah. And I love old BBC studios stories because of how, you know, like we were talking about at the beginning of just like, yeah, just tape over it. Who gives a shit? You know, like that attitude just kills me. It's like my favorite stories about Jack Kirby. He would finish artwork and he would send it off, you know, to the printer, and they would publish it or color it or whatever. And then eventually a few months later, he would get his artwork back, and they would be like, here's your artwork back. And he's like, oh, great. I needed some of this. And then he would just tear his artwork up and then write on the back his lunch order and give it to a PA. He would just use it for scrap paper, like pages that would be worth millions now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And that's how he would treat it. He'd be like, well, no one's going to ever give a shit about this crap. It's just scrap paper. Wow. And it's just like, wow. It hurts. It hurts in the same way that like taping over old Doctor Who episodes that could exist now, but don't, because they just taped it over, like, just hurts my soul.
Or the fire at Alexandria.
Yeah. They just felt so, They had so little thought about the lasting effect of their work that they were like, no one's ever going to want to watch this again. This is junk.
Yeah. But you know what does survive? Guns.
Yeah.
And that's what this episode's about for me.
Yeah. Guns always survive.
Guns always survive.
It's true. All right. Well, let's get into Trial of a Time Lord, Part 1, The Mysterious Planet, Part 1. The Trial of a Time Lord, Part 1, The Mysterious Planet, Part 1. Written by Robert Holmes, directed by Nicholas Mallet, produced by John Nathan Turner, script edited by Eric Sayward, air date 6th of September, 1986. The TARDIS materializes inside of a massive space station where the Sixth Doctor emerges with no memory of how he got there. He eventually wanders into a room where a man calling himself the Valeyard attempts a Time Lord inquiry into the Doctor's recent conduct. The Valeyard begins by using the Time Lord Matrix to show a tribunal of Time Lords an example of the Doctor's actions. Cut to the Doctor and Peri arriving on a planet that was supposedly devastated by a fireball, but the forest they are walking through suggests otherwise. They are seen by Sabalom Glitz and his assistant Dibber, two mercenary con men who plan to destroy a robot for financial reasons, but the primitive Tribe of the Free stands in their way. At this point, the Doctor interrupts the replay to ask what the point of all of this is, and why Peri is not with him on the space station. The Valeyard says that a side effect of being pulled from time is temporary amnesia, so the Doctor should remember the answers to his questions soon enough. The Matrix resumes as Peri finds a London Underground sign in a cavern that proves that the planet they're on is actually Earth in the far future. While she mourns her planet, the Doctor enters the complex alone and Peri is taken. Meanwhile, Glitz and Dibber attempt to manipulate the tribe's Queen Katrika into giving them what they're looking for, but it doesn't go well and they are taken prisoner. Inside the underground complex, the Doctor picks up a bottle of water, which sets off an alarm. He is instantly subdued by people, accused of stealing, and sentenced to a stoning. While he tries to block the stones with an umbrella, he is eventually knocked unconscious. Back in court, the Valeyard proposes the Doctor's inquiry should become a full-blown trial, and if he is found guilty, the Doctor should be executed. So we start off with that glorious model shot, which is honestly fantastic.
Mhm.
And then there's that really great bit where Six comes out of the TARDIS and he comes out like Kramer entering a scene for the first time in an episode of Seinfeld, where he just like pops out and he's like waiting for like his studio applause or something.
Yeah.
Because it's like the first time in 18 months that anyone's seen the Doctor. So he's like, oh, get ready for this.
Mhm.
But there's no studio applause in Doctor Who, Colin Baker.
But the children in all their homes across Britain were clapping.
That's true. He held for applause. It was applause, future applause. He knew it was coming. Everyone was going to be very excited to see him again. him and his smug fat cat like attitude.
The UK sweetheart returns to British television. Colin Baker's Doctor Who.
so like when he enters the trial and he's just a smug, self-righteous bastard. The whole time we meet the Valeyard, who there's information about the Valeyard that I read about that I'm not allowed to talk about because that would spoil stuff for later.
Thank you.
Yes.
But it's the Valeyard is there, and as the prosecution, and then we the rest of the Time Lords sort of file in, including the Inquisitor, and the Doctor is not put on trial yet. This is a hearing to decide whether or not he should be put on trial.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't go on trial, I think, until the next episode, technically, right? Or is it
Yeah,
even
I
the
think
next
so.
story?
No, it's this one.
Okay.
Because the Valeyard's like, actually, I'd like to switch.
Yeah.
This guy's guilty. I'm going to prove it. And the Doctor's
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah. So they're like, he's like, yeah, I'm going to prove that you're an asshole. And this is how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to show one of the episodes of your stupid show. And then we cut to a video screen airing the episode of Doctor Who entitled The Mysterious Planet.
And it's just a random adventure, just him and Peri just stumbling around a forest.
Yep. I will say, I guess spoilers for the big twist, the big Shyamalanian twist of this episode. But, they're walking around this forest and you're just kind of like, I mean, it's better than a rock quarry, but man, does this not look alien at all.
Jeez, guys, come on.
Yeah. And then it turns out that was all planned because they're actually on Earth and they don't know it.
They pull a Planet of the Apes like 15 minutes in.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. So like apparently there's a solar flare and it wrecked everything and now the planet is supposedly inhabitable. And Peri realizes this because there's no birds or woodland creatures in this forest with a lot of dead leaves. And the Doctor is smugly like, yeah, about time you caught up. Although in a much more supportive and loving way than he did last season.
Yes.
Less in a bickery way. I dig their like arm in arm, like friendship vibes. I'm way into that. I think it's fun. It's definitely a soothing salve after last season of just them gouging each other's eyes out. All season long.
Yeah, because I was watching this and I was like, I don't remember them ever being this like sweet and supportive with each other.
And it's so interesting because like they don't dissolve his prickliness. I guess that's why I find the criticism and notes for Robert Holmes' the script so frustrating is like he still seems like the Sixth Doctor to me, but there's just something about the way he interacts with Peri that even the prickliness and the like him being like she pricks her finger while they're exploring. It's like, ow, my finger. And he's like, it'll heal. She's like, thanks. And just something in the chemistry is different. And it's like kind of like, oh, these guys, instead of like get her out of here, someone call her an Uber.
Right.
Which was like which was last season's vibe.
Nicola Bryant's American accent is a lot better this season too. I think it's like a lot more, it's not as like R heavy. You know, it's a little more subtly American.
It's still not like the best.
Yeah.
I wish I wrote it down, because there was one moment where it was like, I'm going to the store today. And like, I was like, ah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you forget.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that's right.
Every once in a while, it hits like a bad note. But in general, it's much, much better than last season, where every line of dialogue was a bad note.
And, you know, who are we to judge?
Yeah. But she's got good hair this season too. Got to give her
she's
that.
got bomb hair.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's
pretty 80s.
It's pretty 80s, but not in like a gross 80s way. It's just like, it's like the kind of 80s hair that you would see in the 80s versus the kind of 80s hair you would see in an 80s period piece, which is always like over the top.
Over the top, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a really subtle glow up for Peri. Like, same character. There's not like a reimagining, but she's just more capable. It just, It
genuinely feels like we missed out on a ton of adventures between them. Between the last one and this one. It feels like we missed a bunch, and they've both grown in different ways. And now we're in her penultimate episode. And it's a glow up in this one, but strap in for the glow down, buddy.
Yeah.
Strap in.
Okay.
Yeah. The next story is rough.
They do Barry so dirty, like, honestly.
Yeah.
But
they really
later.
do. They really do.
Wow.
But it's great here. I love it here.
Yes.
She is great in exactly two stories. This one and the Caves of Androzani. Two. Dose. And it's not her fault. It's just the way they wrote her and the way they wrote the Doctor and how he interacts with her. But she's so good here, and I wish we had more of this little slice of heaven that is
when it's not being written by someone actively trying to like make the show unpleasant.
Right. Totally. So we get the first appearance. Even if it is the reappearance for us, the first appearance of Glitz, which is a Robert Holmes character that is here, and then later in the Seventh Doctor era, in the episode that introduces Ace, Dragon something. What is it?
Dragonfire?
Dragonfire. Yep, Dragonfire. With the one with the literal cliffhanger. That's what everyone remembers it for. But so we've talked about him before. He's a lot better in this one, though I will say I think he is like full blown Vizzini in this episode versus the one later. And his buddy Dibber, who is not in the other episode, is very much like a combination of Fezzik and Inigo. Like if you merge those two into one character, you get Dibber, and then Glitz is just straight up Wallachan. Like there's a lot of Princess Bride in this. I was reminded of Princess Bride multiple times throughout this story. There was the time, I think it's in this part where they're like walking through like a slightly swampier area of the forest. And I was just like, I'm waiting for the Sixth Doctor to be like, rodents of unusual size, they don't exist.
I don't believe they exist.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that thing is such a Doctor Who creature anyway, the rodent of unusual size. There's a lot of like Doctor Who vibes.
A rat being thrown at an actor by like a PA off camera.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. I also wish, what's the author? Who's the William Goldman, right?
Yeah.
He's American, right? William Goldman?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure. regardless of American or not, that dude should have written Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, we got Douglas Adams, and
which isn't as good as it should be.
No, but I have a feeling that when we get to that point, we're going to realize it's not really his fault. That it's not as good as it should be. But what is the city of, what is it?
City of Death?
City of Death rules.
Yeah, that
which is
really
before he's showrunner, but he wrote that episode and it's amazing.
Yeah.
One of the best Fourth Doctor stories. Yeah. So yeah, we get Glitz and Dibber, which is,
Oh, I love them.
yeah.
Glitz also, he reminded me a lot of the classic Star Trek character, I think Harry Mudd.
Yes.
Just like a really cool, like, I'm a rascal.
Mhm.
I'm kind of like also like Hondo Onaka from like the Star Wars cartoons. And like when we start seeing him interact with the Doctor, there's just such a fun, he's like Fortune's fool. Like he's always going to be okay just by the skin of his teeth. And he was just a fun force in the show for a few episodes.
For sure. For sure. I think that if they had made Glitz like a second companion with Peri,
Oh my god.
like Glitz, Peri, and Six would have been a team for the ages. I feel like they would have been like the epitome of a perfect like 80s Doctor Who era. Just those three going on adventures would have been amazing.
Like Glitz like steals like a piece of Aztec gold, takes it back on the TARDIS. And it's like,
Absolutely.
that has a curse on it, you idiot.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I tried to tell him, Doctor.
Writes itself.
Yeah, see? Yeah. No, it would have been, oh,
I
God.
would just feel so bad for Peri having to deal with those two smug assholes all day.
I know, but that's like where the comedy comes from. It's just like her being the only person with any kind of sense.
She's cursed, Cass.
Yeah. She's cursed because of the piece of Egyptian gold that Glitz stole. Oh, man.
Did they ever get Nicola Bryant back for some big finish?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It's just I find that the returning companion ones, especially when it's a companion that we have an ending episode, an episode where they left.
Mhm.
I find those a struggle personally because I like the continued continuity versus like the filling in the gaps continuity.
Yeah.
And so like I like the Sixth Doctor with new companions that we didn't see because we have that whole area of time where his show ends, but like way before he ever regenerates into 7, right? And then it's the same with 7 until he's going to regenerate into 8. You have all of that time,
Right.
and I like those gaps more than I like just gaps between companions, little mini gaps, that just don't feel true gaps because you see the ending. It's why I can't get into the Fifth Doctor's audio stuff.
Because it's gap filly.
Yeah, because we see the whole thing, we get the
Right.
whole thing. Yeah. As much as I like Peter Davison, it always feels off, and it sucks that like he can't have a companion who isn't one of the companions that he had, during his era.
Mhm.
I don't know, but anyway, this episode ends with them like abruptly cutting back to the hearing, and then the Valeyard being like, "Actually, I'm going to terminate his life."
Yeah.
And the Sixth Doctor being like, "What?"
I love the Valeyard so much.
Yeah. The Trial of a Time Lord, Part 2, The Mysterious Planet, Part 2. Written by Robert Holmes, directed by Nicholas Mallet. Produced by John Nathan Turner, script edited by Eric Sayward. Air date 13th of September, 1986. Back in the Matrix, the stoning over a bottle of water is stopped by an official named Merdine before the Doctor is killed. Seeing what happened, a big, sort of humanoid robot called the Immortal, aka the robot dude that Glitz and Dibber want to kill, wants to speak to the Doctor, so he orders his twin assistants to release another robot to gather him up. Peri is brought before Katrika and informed that she will join the tribe of the free and take many husbands and have all of the babies so that the human race can continue to survive. She's not into this, so she's put into a jail cell with Glitz and Dibber, who tell her all about their plans to kill the immortal robot, but then Glitz is sentenced to death by Katrika. The service robot that the Immortal sent out to gather the Doctor takes the Doctor to the Immortal, who now introduces himself as Drathro and orders the Doctor to help his twin assistants solve a problem with his blacklight system, which I can only assume has something to do with his robot Cosmic Bowling League. The Doctor helps for a bit, but eventually electrocutes the lot of them and gets out of there. Once recovered, Drathro sends the service robot after the Doctor again. Also in an escaping mood are Peri, Glitz, and Dibber, who overpower their guards and bail, with Dibber planting a bomb on a blacklight converter before joining Glitz and Peri underground. Eventually, they all reunite with the Doctor as the tribesmen, after Glitz, Dibber, and Peri corner them from one side, and Drathro's service robot hunting the Doctor corners them from the other. The Doctor believes that after all this time and all of his adventures, this moment may well and truly be the end for him, and I'm sure everyone watching from home definitely believes him. Listen, guys, this isn't going to mean a whole lot to any of you listening because you're not in our Discord group with the three of us. But are you going to look at me straight in the face, Cass, and tell me that this robot isn't just an 80s robot Steppenwolf? Because he is.
Is it the horns?
It's the horns. Yeah. It's the horns and the color.
Yeah.
And I desperately wish Steppenwolf and Zack Snyder's Justice League had this voice.
Just like showed up like this.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful.
Listeners, there's a couple of incredible robots in this episode.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But most of all is, I thought they were calling him Jethro.
Right. So did I. Yeah. But it's
Drathro.
Drathro.
With a
D. Drathro.
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 Jethro. That's a pretty good name for a robot.
Yeah. This robot, he's just a big hulking robot with like pincher arms that like articulate really well, actually.
Yeah.
Like a robot you'd see at Disneyland in the 80s. Well, you know, like way more advanced than really I think we've ever seen on the show before. And then
like
this
big old Longhorn, Texas Longhorn.
Yeah, Texas Longhorn head. And he's big. He's like 8 feet tall. He's chunky and he's awkward. And he just wants to end the human race.
He has
because
two blonde
they're annoying.
twink henchmen.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. They're amazing. I brought up the fact that I would swear that they were just the twins from the Twin Dilemma.
That's
Just
the vibe I
grown
got
up.
too, but I don't know
Yeah.
that they're supposed to be related.
I don't think they are, but man, yeah, they're great.
But then there was also, not to jump too far ahead, but there was a maintenance robot.
Yes.
That was kind of just a classic, like on a ramp wheel, like Wall-E kind of robot. And that thing was agile.
Yes.
That thing was like stealth moding, like whipping around corners.
For those of you who have played the Borderland games, Nick and I referred to this robot as like if Claptrap and a Dalek had a baby.
Like before Claptrap had legs, like an earlier model.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like a really like agile Dalek that could like whip around corners and be stealthy.
Yeah. And wrap people up in vacuum tubes.
Yeah, but like taller than a Dalek.
Yeah. Also like 8 feet tall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, tall. Also reminds me a little bit of the robot with the lizard hands in Colony in Space.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, kind of a similar like just blocky vibe.
To trick people into thinking it's an alien for 5 seconds.
Right. Yeah. Oh man, there's a great scene where the Doctor meets Drathro, and the two his like,
lab assistant
lab
henchmen.
assistants, the blondes, are like checking the Doctor out and trying to figure out what kind of robot he is, because they don't know what anything that isn't a robot is. They're like, he's too smart to not be a robot. He must be a robot. And they're like, and he's like, Drathro is like, he's not a robot, you idiots.
Clunk, like hits her
Yeah,
together.
right. Yeah, it's incredible. It's honestly incredible.
Have we talked about the society that's grown out of post-apocalyptic or England?
No, please do.
Yeah, there's like, so in the kind of almost like World's End, in the wake of this, like it's like what 300 years after society collapsed,
500.
And 500 thing. And then there's like a society that just like lives in the fields, and it's run by this like another incredible side character in this episode, this like queen. I can't remember the character's name.
Oh, it starts with a K.
Yeah. Catherine. I don't know.
Yeah, Queen Catherine. But she was great. She was like
Katrika?
Katrinka.
Yeah. There's not an N, so it must be Katrika.
Yeah. I mean, everyone in this episode was a delight, but I thought she was like a really great like
Queen of the Tribe of the Free.
Yeah, Queen of the Tribe of the Free. And there's like a space device in the ground that they worship like a god, but glitz and glamour, glitz and
glamour,
illusion and glimmer, Dipper and glitz, Dipper.
With a B. Dibber.
It is Dibber.
Yeah, it's Dibber.
Okay, Dibber and glitz.
Yeah,
they know that it's actually like a thing that does science fiction stuff. What did like? It's not blacklight.
Yeah, they're just like. Yeah, they just want to sell a thing.
Yeah, they want to sell it. They're
like, these people are idiots. We're going to be able to take whatever they want. Like, Glitz is like, oh, older women love me. Get ready. Get ready to watch me like just.
My son.
I'm going to lay with this woman so fast and she's going to give me everything that she wants.
And then get thrown directly in jail.
Yep.
It's so
directly
good.
in jail. It's great. It's so great.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, like there is focus on side characters a lot, but like they're so much fun.
Yeah.
That you don't like, where's the doctor?
Which is very different from last season, where we're like, look, the doctor's not good either, but it's better than this. Yeah.
Because all those side characters take themselves so seriously. Because Eric Sayward just took himself so seriously. And then Robert Holmes is just like, nah, dude. Just give these two bounty hunters like stupid sideburns and like name them Glitz, like, you know?
Yeah.
And have them be like fun to like bounce off of. They kind of have like almost kind of like a mentor mentee kind of quality where like Glitz is where Glitz is showing Dibber like the ropes a little bit.
Oh man.
And then there's like underground army people. I remember thinking out like I wanted to say this episode's commitment to making everyone on screen look as stupid as possible.
Yes.
Is super admirable.
Yes.
Because like the robot has like army people living underground, right? And they have like these weird like paintball spray paint helmets.
Yeah. Let's give it up to Nicholas Mallet, who was not afraid to make everyone look like an idiot. It's the best. It's the best. Honestly, it makes this episode so much better than it should be.
There's people wearing like skin suits.
Yeah.
And like headpieces that make them look like giant thumbs.
And the episode ends with a bunch of people, the bunch of the tribe of the free people showing up with guns in a cave and pointing them at the doctor and his crew. And the doctor's like, this could truly be the end. And then we get a cliffhanger. That's the cliffhanger. It's very dramatic.
I like how they alternate between cliffhangers on the planet and cliffhangers during the trial.
That's true. So then we go into episode 3, which starts with a 2-minute recap of the previous cliffhanger.
Yeah, they really pad this out. It kind of pissed me off.
And then the doctor says this truly could be the end this time. And then someone shoots, they miss, and then they run away. And that's it. That's how they resolve that cliffhanger.
And Robert Holmes is like, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it, guys.
My work here is done.
It doesn't matter. The Trial of a Time Lord, Part 3, The Mysterious Planet, Part 3. Written by Robert Holmes, directed by Nicholas Mallet. Produced by John Nathan Turner, script edited by Eric Sayward, air date 20th of September, 1986. So the tribespeople, who are apparently well-armed, shoot at the service robot instead of the Dr. Peri and the others, and then insist that they come back to their village and talk with Queen Katrika, who promptly sends them all back to the prison cell they just escaped from. Meanwhile, Drathro manages to fix and reactivate the service robot, sending it into the village where it breaks into the prison cell and takes the doctor away. The tribe fights and disables the service robot again, and they think they just destroyed the Immortal because they know that the Immortal is a robot, but they don't know what kind of robot he is or what he looks like, so they decide that he's dead, and they're going to raid his castle for all of his technology because they're no longer in danger because they've obviously just killed the Immortal robot. Meanwhile, Peri and the Doctor head off toward the underground complex to try to stop them, but are thwarted by Merdine, who says he's hunting the Doctor before raising a crossbow and firing at them. Yeah, the Doctor gets tied up to a robot at one point and trucked around by the Dalek.
Yeah, it like shoots its webbings at him.
Yeah,
carries him around.
Yeah,
Amy Pond.
The claptrap Dalek, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
I think it was called like Maintenance Robot 1 or something.
Maintenance Robot 1. Yeah.
It had a really cool name.
Oh, man.
Is this
Oh, no, please.
Is this the episode where like the footage has been like quote unquote altered, where like they censor some of the words and then the Doctor's like, whoa, what's that? I really like them playing with that, like, metatextually and using the trial as like, you know, commentary on like what's going on and like setting up the mystery for later stuff. I think it's really clever.
Yeah,
it was great. It was like, you know, like proto WandaVision.
Yeah,
like
that's weird.
It's also like proto New Who, because we've never really had like, I mean, you know, it ends up just really being like bookends. Essentially, like the storyline, the Trial of the Time Lord, because you get those little cut-ins and whatever, and it's continuing along. But like in general, the bulk of that part of the story is at the beginning and then at the very end, right? And so, but it reminds me a lot of like, you know, like Bad Wolf or Torchwood or you know, those kinds of things, those early Russell T Davies season-long arcs where they're like, yeah, just give them a little bit and we'll deal with it at the end of the season. But like, let's just, you know, piecemeal it along or whatever. Yeah. And it's kind of the first time that they ever did that.
It was really cool. It made me sit up and like I started developing my own theories, or I was like, oh, are they talking about the Time Matrix?
Yeah.
Like, are they, because then like it brings the Valeyard's intentions into question. And I like how the Doctor is still in Doctor mode. I also want to say the way that he just butters up to the Inquisitor this whole story is like so great.
he just keeps going like, I mean, right? I mean, you know what I'm talking about. And the Inquisitor is like, I surely do not believe that I do.
Inquisitor, I'm just trying to help everyone. I don't even know.
We're all aware of what you're trying to do.
Inquisitor, what is he talking about?
Yeah. He's just like this little, like, I don't know, like this little stinker.
Yeah, he's a little stinker.
He's a little stinker. It's honestly, it's how Colin Baker's Doctor should have been the whole time. He's just a little stinker.
Even his like his rudeness towards Peri, or him being like kind of self-centered or selfish. I don't know what it is. Maybe it is just Robert Holmes's writing, but something about him in this story I just really jived with, and I had a really fun time with him. At some point I was like, is it because he's not with Peri and he's alone? Like, and I don't know, because I do like the moments where he's with Peri in this one.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I think it might just be that it's a good writer. I'll be honest.
One other thing that I wanted to point out that I thought was really funny with the trial stuff is like every time they went back to the footage and then all of the other assembled Time Lord extras just like swivel around in their spinny chairs and face the screen. It's so funny.
It reminded me of like, I don't know why this was my instinct, but for some reason the thing I kept coming back to was like Reading Rainbow.
Oh my God.
You know? Where it's just like you know, like, oh, I'm going to tell you about this story. And then just like turn to like a TV screen and like you get this little animation and then he comes back and is like, wasn't that great? Or Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Mr. Rogers would do that a lot too.
So Cass, there was a moment where the Valeyard's trying to convince the Valeyard trying to convince the Inquisitor that the Doctor has like a violent nature. And the Doctor's like, I'm never violent. And like we had Scott were like, I just wanted to have like a montage of just the third
of like
Doctor
every time he shot somebody.
Yeah. And then Scott was like, yeah, it'd be cool if that's what this was. like a clip show kind of, like commenting on the show.
The thing that kills me is that like they probably could have pitched the BBC like, hey, give us 20 episodes and we'll make 4 of them clip shows. We've been going on long enough.
Yeah.
And it fits into the story. Like we can make them clip shows and it would honestly make the episode better as a result. And they'd probably be like, wow, that's a pretty good way of saving money. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, man, were clip shows a thing at this point? Yeah, of course they were. It was the 80s. That was like
that's
70s
like
and 80s. That was like the height of clip
staple,
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
Never mind. I just had a WandaVision theory, but I don't want to say it on the show.
So the other thing that I want to mention about the trial stuff in general before we get into episode 4 is that the trial stuff plays differently currently. As we're watching this, there is a president on trial after being impeached, and this is a trial for the president of Gallifrey who was impeached for not doing what he was supposed to be doing. And I was like watching this and I'm like, wow, this plays different right now. I might be on the Valeyard side.
It was weird as like, I don't consider myself to be like an above average intelligent person. So like, I don't have like a super in-depth knowledge of like the court. So it was weird watching this and being like, wow, I know what they're talking about because I've just been watching like horror stuff for like the whole week.
Yeah.
Man, it was pretty weird when he was like, I can do whatever I want. I'm
Lord President
of Gallifrey. And they're like, you're not anymore. You were impeached, buddy. And he was like, oh, is that legal? And they're like, yes, very. And he's like, oh. And I was like, wow, this is really playing differently.
Also, like, it's kind of like Louis from DuckTales, where it's like he just kind of bites off another little stinker.
Yeah, another little stinker who's also like a smug asshole. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just like the Sixth Doctor.
But he makes it work.
He does make it work. What was the cliffhanger for 3?
Was it is it already his name is, I kept calling him Modine, the one who's sending the people.
Where he like goes to shoot the doctor. Looks like
he's like, what are you hunting? You. And he holds up the gun.
He like points the crossbow at him or whatever.
So 2 gun cliffhangers, 2 trial cliffhangers.
But Modine's cool because he's the one. So like the people underground believe that you don't go above ground and survive, but he's sending people up till he's like, because he doesn't want people to be working for the robots anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because he's supposed to kill them because like it's like, you're a drain on resources. We gotta cull people, and he's just like, oh no, just escape. Bye.
That's what it was. The culling.
Yeah.
The Trial of a Time Lord, Part 4, The Mysterious Planet, Part 4. Written by Robert Holmes, directed by Nicholas Mallet, produced by John Nathan Turner, script edited by Eric Sayward, air date 27th of September, 1986. Queen Catrica and her tribe arrive at the Immortals' castle to raid it for its technology, only to find that Drathro is alive and well, and that the robot they killed wasn't the robot that they're all scared of, and then Drathro promptly electrocutes her and dismisses the others. The Doctor arrives next and promises to fix Drathro's black light system, only to discover it is beyond repair and will cause a massive, universe-destroying explosion if Drathro doesn't shut it down. But Drathro thinks that sounds rad as hell and wants to see it play out, so he does nothing. Meanwhile, Glitz, Dibber, Peri, and the rest all try to break into Drathro's castle through some food corridors, but he turns on some lasers and hopes they all die. Luckily, Dibber quickly shoots through a wall and saves them. Glitz then convinces Drathro that he has all the black light Drathro could possibly need back at his ship, and invites the robot to travel with he and Dibber and go to the Andromeda Galaxy. Drathro packs a little robot suitcase and leaves with Glitz and Dibber for a fun sleepover weekend on their ship, where presumably they would all braid each other's hair and talk about what boys they like. Unfortunately, that was not meant to be. As the Doctor realizes, the blacklight system has entered a self-destruct mode. So, the Doctor does what he can to mitigate the universal destruction and gets out of there. The castle explodes, and with no blacklight being produced, Drathro collapses, his tiny robot suitcase clattering to the ground. With the universe saved, Peri and the Doctor promptly bail on the TARDIS. Back in court, the Doctor points out that he saved the universe and is good actually, but the Valeyard claims to have much more proof to the contrary, and when his case against the Doctor is finished, the Time Lord Court will be begging for a swift end to the Doctor's life. This is the best Jethro episode. This is incredible stuff.
Jethro and the Twinks are both play really heavily.
Yeah, Jethro and the Twinks.
That's the name of my new band.
Oh my god! Can we put that on a shirt? Oh wow! I don't think anyone would buy that, but maybe us.
I would.
The three of us. We'd sell 3 shirts.
Just like the silhouette of the stupid robot.
Yes,
the robot and the 2 guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Oh man! And people would see it and they'd be like, "Oh, is that like a Steppenwolf reference, or
is that a band?" Club in West Hollywood?
Jethro and the oh my god, Jethro and the Twinks. So
he tells them like, "You're both going to die.
Yeah,
like you're not going to survive this."
Like, I love the little bits where they're like talking to each other and they just like keep finishing each other's sentences.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best. Jethro and his 2 husbands. So the Doctor makes it down there and is like trying to convince Jethro that you can't kill humans because they're inherently better than you, which goes over about as well as you would think.
It's another point where you kind of empathize with the villain a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, what sense does that make? Why? I don't know. You are.
They made you, so that means they're better than you. And he's like, to the contrary, it means the opposite. It's like, what? Like I kept waiting for like Jethro to just start like quoting like the Communist Manifesto at him, like the means of production.
Yeah. The Inquisitor being like, "Why are we watching this?" Is this the part where they cut to, or is it 3, where they cut to a conversation between Jethro and the twins, and the Doctor's like, "Why are we watching this? This isn't my consciousness."
Yes. Yeah. That's really good. And I love every time they do that.
And then we learn that the matrix radius, if a TARDIS is in radius, the time matrix will absorb it, and it will become part of the data matrix back on Gallifrey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that this storyline presupposes that what we have been watching has not been a television series called Doctor Who, but a series of like memories from the Matrix.
Oh,
wow, that's true, because the TARDIS is always close by.
Yeah, pretty good. Anyway, the robot has a suitcase, and it's the best.
He's got a little suitcase when he's getting ready to go.
Remember when he has his little bag, his little briefcase?
No, I missed that. That's amazing.
Yeah, so,
I think it's
so like
it's supposed to be like whatever Glitz and Dibber are like. Oh, we can steal that.
His like secret box.
Yeah,
data.
Yeah, his little data box, but it's just shaped like a diamond shaped briefcase.
Yeah,
I'm ready to leave,
and he just like has it at his side, and is just like walking briskly out of his hideout, holding his little briefcase.
They just trick him. They're like, "Oh, what do you need? Black light? We have plenty of that on the ship, right?"
Yeah, come on.
Oh, I won't. When I survive the trip, I don't have a lot of battery left. Sure, of course you will.
Yeah. And he just packs up and gets out of there, and it's the greatest. God, there's nothing like a giant robot with a little suitcase. He's gonna go move in with his 2 new best friends,
just like a handbag, like a clutch.
Yeah, like a clutch. Yeah, a little bigger than a clutch, I would say.
Not for him. He's like an 8-foot tall robot.
It's like a small purse. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, it's like the size of a human head.
Yeah. It's like a small purse in comparison to him, I would say. And it's the best. It is the best. He instantly dies upon leaving the room, but it's the best.
To rewind for a bit.
Yeah.
So the cliffhanger is resolved with, so Modine's like, "I'm hunting you," and then he shoots a guy who was going to shoot the Doctor. Because he caught wind of Modine's plan and thought that Modine was a traitor. And there was this moment where like he's dead, right? The bad guy, and the Doctor's like, "Ha!" like, and Modine's like, I recruited him. I've known him since he was a kid. I didn't want this to happen. I thought that I could he would last long enough. And it was just this really cool empathetic moment of like, oh wow, like this, it humanizes both of these characters. Even this like dead guy who like is in every episode of Doctor Who, but just like this little half page that Robert Holmes included that just kind of made me like, I felt for both of them in that moment.
That's the thing. What I love about Robert Holmes, you know, like we talked about him earlier this season, and about his like propensity for creating little side characters that have like their own story, and then like he usually kills them off pretty quickly. And it's like, I think it's meant to be some sort of like commentary on like how like, you know, willfully we kill off characters and stories, and how they are the hero of their own story, and you should show that before killing them so that people understand the stakes. And I like all of that, and I think it's fun. But like early on, it would just be like one character, and it would just be like this little thing in an episode where like we meet this farmer, and he's just living his life and arguing with his wife, and then goes out into a field and gets killed by a Silurian. And you're like, oh wow, that really sucks. But then now we're at a point where he's like, no, one's not enough. Actually, neither is two. Neither is three. We're going to do 4 pairs of side characters.
Yeah. Cause Jethro kills the queen character. And I was like, I was like, oh no. Like,
yeah,
she was kind of an antagonist, but I still like, she was a cool character.
Yeah. She was fun. She had like a hillbilly, Queen of Hearts vibe. Like kind
of like a Ma Beagle.
Yeah, like a Ma Beagle. Totally.
You could tell that she was like an effective leader.
Yeah. Yeah. She told Glitz to shut up, fat one. Quiet, fat one. Which he took very personally and kind of just shut up the rest of the story.
Oh wow.
Oh man. Just
the wind out of his
sails. Just straight up body shames this guy. And here Glitz thought he was going to get laid this whole story, but was not in the cards for old Glitzy boy.
Oh, the maintenance robot bursts through a hut and just breaks them all out of jail.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good. Oh man, the lasers. Remember the drawn on lasers in that corridor?
Oh, I also want to take a moment to celebrate Glitz and Deborah. They have guns that Scott correctly called out as just leaf blowers.
Yeah, they're just leaf blowers.
But they look so cool.
They do look cool.
They look like the coolest like school play production of Aliens you can ever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A high school production of Aliens. That's what these guns look like. It's amazing. Or like Be Kind Rewind, like Michel Gondry. Like if they remade Aliens.
That's cool because I also thought like Jack Black could be Glitz in like a remake.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Also Matt Berry would also be a very good Glitz.
Get big Matt Berry vibes.
Yeah. Yeah. If you could somehow combine Matt Berry, Wallace Shawn, and the guy from Perfect Strangers that wasn't Balky, Larry from Perfect Strangers, you get Glitz. Just somehow merge those 3
hello
people. That's Glitz.
I can hear you, Doctor.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing tops Robot with a Briefcase to me. That's just that is just top tier stuff.
Well, so we wrap up back in the courtroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with a very similar threat to the end of episode 1.
Yeah, it's not the best episode out.
It's I almost want to say they just reused the shot of the Doctor reacting to the first cliffhanger.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's like, this trial is going to continue, and this next story is going to prove that you deserve to die. Like, oh, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, I really dug the theme.
Yeah, the new theme is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new theme is a banger.
It's like bass heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
Good episode, gentlemen.
I really like this one. I think it's the best Sixth Doctor story. I don't know that there's one that I like more than this. Like that was filmed? Like that's on.
I think it might be my favorite one that I've watched so far.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is. I like it more than the Two Doctors, which would be the only other one.
Yeah, the Two Doctors is
like
long.
Yeah, it's too long. It should be like 2/3 of that length.
Yeah, this one's just funny. Yeah, no, I think I agree with that.
Yeah, like I think that there's one that's better. It's coming up. It's the penultimate episode, but it doesn't end well because Robert Holmes doesn't write the second part of it.
Yeah.
But like the first part of the last story.
Oh my god, it's like a banger.
It's so good.
It's like crazy.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievably good. And then it just they're like, wow, they're coming in for the most amazing landing, and then they're 5 feet from the ground and just crash land into a horrible death. That's how this era ends. But that penultimate episode freaking rules.
Mm-hmm.
It's just part 2 is not great, unfortunately.
I'm excited to keep going.
Yeah, for sure. But we won't keep going with Trial of a Time Lord, because otherwise we would be done with the Sixth Doctor this round already.
Yeah.
But instead we are coming back next week with the greatest show in the galaxy. Seventh Doctor. And it's the episode I've been waiting all season long to watch.
I genuinely don't remember this one, so I'm kind of excited.
So good.
Is it the greatest show?
It's a space circus, my friend.
Does it have Sylvester McCoy doing a power slide like Zac Efron in Greatest Showman?
It might. It very well might. I don't remember that specifically, but that doesn't sound
like out of the realm
of character. Yeah, out of the realm of possibility for this story. Great. The story is bonkers in the best of ways. It's hella 80s also, which is in the best of ways. So anyway, greatest show in the galaxy. That's going to be next week. I cannot wait. And then the rest of the season. Go check out our Patreon, duelinggenre.com/support. We've got a new goal. We hit 100 patrons on Patreon. We're going to do a new bonus show, and that could be a TDC show. If all of you guys go out and support us, and you're the ones that are voting, then, very likely, if that's the one you want to have happen, then, we're going to be talking about K9 or Torchwood or Sarah Jane Adventures or all of the Big Finish spinoffs that are around. So we would add a spinoff to the rotation of the show. That's how it would work. So if that's something that you guys want,
and hop on the Discord.
Yeah, absolutely, hop on the Discord. There's a link in the show notes. We have a Discord. And you can
talk
check
about
that
the
out.
episodes.
Yeah, if you want to bring up Steppenwolf, I'm sure we'll have lots of memes and things, jokes about Steppenwolf.
You can help us design Jethro and the Twinks.
Yeah,
merch.
True.
My
Very
new favorite
true.
shirt.
Yeah. What kind of band? What kind of band would they be? Would they be like surf rock
or kind of like Sparks?
Sparks.
I don't know.
Yeah,
they're behind the board, but he's on vocals.
Yeah, let us know what kind of band Jethro and the Twinks would be. Is it a boy band?
Sure.
Let us know.
That's a little too on the nose, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Probably is. Yeah. It feels like Jethro would be the head, the lead, the singer, and then the two Twinks would be on keys, like behind him.
Yeah. Or one would be like behind a turntable.
Yeah. All right, well, that's fun.
Doctor Who.
I'm into it. Doctor Who rules. All right, we'll be back next week with the greatest show in the galaxy. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.